Pokemon has been a mainstay in the lives of 90s kids everywhere. We all remember the anime and the adventures of Ash, Misty, and Brock, as well as those incredible video games that introduced us to these pocket monsters. But not all Pokemon are created equally. Some of them are so weird and outside the box you won't understand how anyone even came up with them. Before we get into all these oddball Pokemon that leave us scratching our heads, snap out of the confusion by subscribing to CBR and use Thunderbolt on that bell to join our notification squad so you can catch all of our Pokemon videos. Gotta watch 'em all! CBR! What better Pokemon to start with than Ditto? This is one of the weirdest Pokemon out there, and for good reason. It looks like a pink blob, but we assure you that it's much more than that. Ditto can transform into any Pokemon out there and copy its moves and stats while keeping its original HP. The thing is, it has a terrible HP stat, so it'll be surely worse off than the actual Pokemon it's copying. The Generation 2 normal Psychic-type Pokemon, Girafarig, might not look that weird to you since it's just some kind of long-neck horse, but once your eyes meet its tail, you'll be very confused. You'll probably think it's just designed like a face as a defense mechanism to ward off predators. Oh, but it's not. It's an actual head with a small brain of its own that bites anything that gets too close. That's just freaky. Also, if you haven't noticed, Girafarig is a palindrome, meaning its name is read the same both forwards and backwards. That just adds to the weirdness. Shedinja is just odd. There's not really a better word to describe it. Shedinja can only be damaged by super effective moves, status moves, and weather moves, which sounds super OP, but it only has 1 HP no matter how much you level it up. So it balances out in the end. Another Pokemon that evolves into a half-ghost type is Frostlass from Generation 4. When a Snorunt is given a Dawnstone, it evolves from an Ice-type Pokemon to an Ice and Ghost-type Pokemon. But how does a Pokemon become a Ghost-type through evolution? Does it die while evolving or something? So it returned as a spirit? Well, in Frostlass's case, yeah, kind of. You see, the Pokemon is supposedly the spirit of a woman who got lost on her way through the mountains. Well, that's just downright depressing, isn't it? Cubone is an adorable Pokemon with a really dark past. Well, we actually don't know what its face looks like since it never takes off its skull, but it looks cute with it on for sure. Yeah, we said skull because that's totally a thing you just wear on your head, right? It's all the rage in 2018. Well, it turns out that Cubone wears the skull of its dead mothers, and when it cries in the skull, it creates a sad melody. Oh, okay, so that's way more depressing than Frostlass's backstory. Poor Cubone. We hope he finds his happiness when he evolves into Marowak. Seeing the word Wobbuffet makes you think of a buffet where all you eat is wob. Seeing as that's a Scottish and English dialect pronunciation of web, we hope it's actually not a thing. Anyway, back to Wobbuffet. We love this Pokemon that acts like a door stopper. You can hit it as hard as you want, but by using counter, it'll hit you back even harder. What's so weird about this Pokemon is that it has so much HP, and it's way more defensive than any other Pokemon we saw in first 2 generations. It's a niche Pokemon that has its use competitively, but it's still an oddball. Gingka is a cute little squid Pokemon from Generation 6, but believe it or not, it's not even a water-type Pokemon. It's dark and psychic. Okay, yeah, that makes total sense. While the whole what type is this Pokemon nonsense is confusing enough, you should see how you actually have to evolve this thing into the powerful Malamar. Starting at level 30 to evolve Inkay, you have to hold your 3DS upside down. What the? They say that when you love somebody, you give them the key to your heart. Well, if you're Klefki, maybe a key actually is your heart. This Steel and Fairy type Pokemon from Generation 6 is, you guessed it, a key ring with 4 keys. Or 5 keys if you include the body of the Pokemon. When you hear it jingle its keys, you better get out of there because, like a rattlesnake, it won't hesitate to attack. Klefki's is obsessed with collecting keys, and if it gets its ring on a key it likes, you'll never get it back. Also, they supposedly break into people's houses to steal their keys. Oh, hell no! One of the most popular summer desserts is good old ice cream, but we never thought we'd see the dessert come to life in the world of Pokemon. Vanilluxe is literally 2 ice cream cones stuck together through a block of ice. That's one of the most creative Pokemon ever. Okay, that's actually really hard to say with a straight face, but we'll definitely never look at ice cream the same again. It must be hard to resist having a lick of Vanilluxe. In fact, we're pretty certain it's been actually licked countless times, but we know one Pokemon that wouldn't hesitate to give it a taste. Yummy. Yep, that's a normal type Generation 1 Pokemon known for its giant tongue, the aptly named Lickitung. That's just fun to say right there. He'd probably follow Vanilluxe around like a donkey following a carrot. Believe it or not, its tongue is twice as long as its body, and it's both dexterous and powerful enough to lift people up, which is absolutely disgusting. Also, its licks can cause paralysis, so not only will your clothes be drenched in Lickitung's saliva, you have a chance of getting paralyzed from it as well. Yeah, no thanks. We have no idea where this tongue's been, especially considering Lickitung uses it to clean its entire body. Gross! When it comes to Pokemon, there are some that are trash and those that are literally trash. Garbodor, the poison-type Pokemon from Generation 5, is one Pokemon we don't think Lickitung will be licking. And just thinking about that is kinda grossing us right out. The main thing about this Pokemon is that it doesn't make any sense for garbage to turn into a living thing. We mean, sure, muck is just moving sludge, but garbage is something else entirely. Wouldn't you be scared to walk the streets if each garbage bag you pass has a chance of turning into a monster? You should be. Oh, Sigilif, what even are you? It's like a flying ancient Egyptian-style vase that somehow has psychic and flying-type Pokemon. Does it have 3 eyes, or are those blue and white things just for decoration? Honestly, who knows? The most confusing thing about the Pokemon is that we literally don't even know what we're looking at. Supposedly, it's the guardian of an ancient city that always flies the same route and uses its psychic abilities to ward off invaders, which definitely explains why it looks so foreign. Still, we find this pocket monster really, really weird, and we wish we never laid eyes on it in the first place. This rock-type Pokemon from Generation 4 is arguably the weirdest-looking Pokemon of all time. It's a rock with a giant nose, but not just any giant nose. It's a giant nose with a ridiculously long, gross nose hairs. Just why? No one asked for this monstrosity. To make matters worse, it even evolves from Nosepass in an odd fashion. You have to level up the Pokemon while in the middle of a specific magnetic field to evolve it into Probopass. Enough of these Pokemon, let's move on to something that looks a little bit better, shall we? Cryogonal isn't much better looking than Probopass, but it'll do. This Ice-type Pokemon from Generation 5 is one interesting pocket monster. It's pretty much just a snowflake with a face, but kind of a face? I don't know. It looks like some weird flying robot that coincidentally resembles a snowflake. Supposedly, when its body heat rises, it turns into steam and vanishes, but can turn back into ice when the temperature gets cold enough. Well, we guess it's not a robot after all. Cryogonals are born in the snow clouds, not in some mad scientist lab. Well, we're still creeped out by the way they look, though. Speaking of creepy Pokemon, nothing's more scary than a Chandelure. A ghost and fire-type Chandelure, actually. Yes, in a crazy turn of events, Chandelure is a Pokemon based off a chandelier. Wow, Nintendo sure looks like they're running out of ideas, huh? No, we're just kidding. But we already had to worry about garbage turning into Pokemon, and now chandeliers too? It's a little too much if you ask us. If you thought chandelures pretend to be chandeliers to lure their prey, hence the name, well, you'd be mistaken. They actually absorb spirits by burning them. No, that's totally not scary at all. This is one chandelier we wouldn't want to mess around with. No Pokemon personifies the pure steel type more than Klinklang. Do you want to hear its evolution line? We promise, it's hilarious. First you have Klink, and then you have Klang. You put them together and you got Klinklang. That wasn't the greatest children's song of all time. It's actually the evolution line of the Pokemon. First you have Klink, then you have Klang. No? Okay. This Pokemon from Generation 5 is literally a bunch of gears and cogs put together. We have no idea how it's sentient, but we have the exact same question about a lot of Pokemon on this list. At least it has a mouth, if that's what that is. Is that what that is? Kling Klang may be the sound two swords make as they come together, but it's not the name of a royal sword Pokemon. Yes, that's actually a Pokemon from Generation 6 that's a sword called Aegislash. Well, it starts off as a sword, then two swords, and then it becomes the full-fledged warrior with a sword and shield we know as Aegislash. We find the Pokemon looks a little dumb, to put it lightly. Why would a Pokemon be based off a weapon? Inanimate object, sure, but weapons? Come on! To make things even weirder, Aegislash is able to change forms during battle to focus on attack or defense, depending on the move he chooses. Puku Muku is one of the most common Pokemon in the seas of Alola in Generation 7. They're like sea urchins, but much more deadly. This Pokemon is capable of surviving for an entire week on land. They're often accidentally stepped on and disliked by locals, since they eject their own intestines as a defense mechanism. Puku Muku doesn't evolve into anything, but they have incredible defense stats with probably the worst speed stats out there. At level 100, it's possible for this Pokemon to have 13 speed. It goes without saying, but it sucks. That Puku Muku makes me want to puku. Right? Scrafty is one of the most awkward-looking Pokemon out there. We honestly feel for the guy. This dark and fighting-type Pokemon from Generation 5 looks like it's just trying to hold its pants up. It seems to have not fully shedded its skin since evolving from Scraggy, making it look like it has baggy pants with no belt to hold them up. They often roam in groups with one leader, so just imagine how hilarious a group of these would look coming after you. Supposedly, Scrafties actually use their loose skin to protect themselves while they kick. Oh, and by the way, their kicks can supposedly smash concrete blocks, so they're not to be trifled with. We saved the weirdest Pokemon out there for last. It has to be Mimikyu, the ghost and fairy-type Pokemon from Generation 7. If you took a stuffed Pikachu toy and beat the hell out of it, this is what it would look like. It's pretty much a horribly drawn, distorted Pikachu, and that's the stuff of nightmares. We were shocked when we first say this Pokemon because why would a Pokemon look like a rip-off of a mascot of the entire franchise? Pikachu isn't from Generation 7, so how would it even know what it looks like? It doesn't make any sense, and we don't know how to react to Mimikyu other than scratching our heads. These were just some of the weirdest and wackiest Pokemon out there. What do you think is the weirdest Pokemon of all time? Are there any good ones we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more Pokemon videos like this one. Thanks for watching.